Oh, there we go. What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Ron Got Soul. I am back. It's been a long time since my last video. It's been about 2 years since my last video. I am finally back and we're going to do a new custom today. We're working on these Katrina 3s and we're going to be changing those to the Kobe Bryant Player Exclusives. Now, I did a video for these a couple years ago, about maybe 5 years ago, and I shot that video on my phone, so the footage was very dark. It wasn't true to the colors, so you couldn't really tell what the colors were. But now we're going to be doing a new custom on these, and I actually did a couple pairs of these before, like last year for a couple clients. But I'm going to do my own personal pair, and I'm going to show you guys an in-depth look at how to do it yourself. And we're going to be doing a tutorial, and it's going to be a fire video. So stay tuned. Let's get it. Okay, guys. So we're into the prep portion of the video. We're going to tape off the uppers as well as all the white portions of the midsole, just so we can focus just on the red. I've done 2 pairs of these already, and this paint does not come off easily. I'm not sure what kind of paint they use, maybe some kind of latex paint or something, but it's not the normal acrylic paint that they usually use. What I'm gonna do is acetone to get the finish off, and then sand it down a little bit so we can get a little bit of grooves into the midsole, as well as use some adhesion promoter. I actually bought some of this yesterday. So we use some adhesion promoter to help the paint adhere a little bit better to the midsole, and then we'll go ahead and start painting. But for right now, we're just gonna tape this up. I'm gonna spare you guys that because I know you guys don't really wanna see me tape up some shoes, but we are gonna just tape up the uppers and around the midsole on the white portion so we don't get any paint on that area. Okay, now that we use some acetone to pretty much get rid of the finish, it still is a little glossy, so we're going to use some 400 grit sandpaper. Just kind of go over the midsole a little bit, just to kind of something for the paint to bite onto. You can kind of see it does get rid of a little bit of the gloss. You go over it a little bit. Okay guys, now that we got the shoes all prepped up, acetoned, and sanded, the camera looking pretty good. They're all matted out now. There's a little bit of gloss, but that's because I went over it again with the acetone just to make sure I cleaned up any imperfections or any of the residual dust. So now we're getting to the paint. Okay guys, now that the shoes are all prepped up, we acetoned the midsole as well as sanded it down. And then we went ahead and wiped it down a little bit more with a little bit of acetone, just to make sure we get all the paint particles up that were left behind from the sanding. But now we're going to go ahead and get into the paint, and for that we are using Collector's Edition as well as Do the Right Thing Maize. And we're mixing that with Create Texas Bloodline Flexible Adhesion Promoter. I talked about this product before in my patent leather tutorial. This helps the paint adhere to materials such as the midsoles or plastic or rubber, just to make it adhere a little bit better. Angler brush, fantastic brushes. I love this brush a lot. I love all these brushes. We're using an Angler brush today, but you can see these are really soft, flexible. Let's get right into it. Now we just added the 4th coat. I'm pretty happy with it. I might go ahead and just do one more coat just to make sure everything's nice and solid. But as you can see, it looks pretty good. Now keep in mind, I did not add any duller to it. I kind of like my midsoles a little bit of gloss to it. So I might, once I add the finisher, it'll actually kind of dull it down a little bit, but it's not going to be super matte. It'll just have a nice, perfect piece of gloss to it. All the colors all set in and we don't have any red peeking through. Now the next step, we're gonna go ahead and start working on the top eyelid here. Pretty much the same process, just we're going to use a little bit of GAC 200. That'll help the paint adhere and be a little bit more scratch proof. Against this little black piece here, we're gonna make it purple. And then after we do that, we're gonna go ahead into the yellow eyelids. But for now, let's just get into the purple. Okay guys, now that we're all done with those, it took about 5 coats to get this color laid down. I did add a little bit of white to the Concord 8 just because I felt like it was a little too dark on the midsole. So I was a little discouraged about it. I thought maybe it would be a little bit better if I did a little bit of white to it. So I added a little bit of white, mixed it into the paint, and we got this nice vibrant purple there. I'm debating whether or not I still want to do the midsole. I might do another coat or two of this lighter purple and match the midsole just so it can match with the eyelids a little bit more, you know, cohesive. But for now, we are going to get into these red eyelids here. Again, we are going to change it to the Do the Right Thing yellow. I already have it pre-mixed. So I'm going to load up to my airbrush and we'll get started. Okay guys, we're pretty much done now. The eyelids are complete. They took about 6 coats to get that done. And then on the top eyelids was about 4 coats. I did end up using 2 coats of the light gray to kind of neutralize that red. I did 2 coats of yellow and it just wasn't coming out solid how I wanted, so I just went ahead and did 2 coats of the light gray. This is a fast custom, not too hard, but it is a little bit of a process trying to get the eyelids changed colors and changing the midsole and prepping the midsole and all that. So it is a process, but we're getting there. And we'll be using a number 3 round brush. This is kind of a, yeah, it's pretty thin. It's a small brush, but it gets the details pretty good. You can either use, I use round brushes or maybe even a filbert just to get around those round edges. But for this like arm on the Jumpman here, it's easier to use like a straight round brush. So take a little bit of paint and just go over it. And you can kind of see it's taking over a little bit. Like I said, it's going to be about 4 coats to get it solid. But right now we are looking pretty good with just 1. And let's keep going. Alright guys, the next step into finishing this custom is going ahead and changing the color of the sock liner. As you can see, I did tape up the sizing tag just to preserve it, keep it as factory looking as possible. I also taped up around the surrounding areas, just in case I put my tongue up here and then it gets paint on the white leather. I don't want to have that, so we just went ahead and taped it up just to make sure we don't have any spills. Now we are using our Concord 8 again, and we're also using GHC 900. We're going to do a 1-to-1 ratio, mix it up into like a little jar here, which I've already pre-did. Now to prop up the tongue, I'm going to be using like a regular spoon. I get from like the Dollar Tree or 99-cent store, just to prop up the tongue so that I can get into the area and it keeps its shape. We'll give you guys a quick tip how to get that little close edge where the leather and the sock liner meet up at. It's kind of hard to tell. Let me get my light right. But you don't want to go super close to the edge. What you want to do is dip your paintbrush, get a decent amount of paint on there, and just press your brush in there. And the paint will kind of spread out on its own and kind of just bleed into those little areas. Alright guys, we are coming to the conclusion of this custom. We are pretty much almost done. To finish off this custom, we're just going to do the border around the Jumpman. And I'm going to be using this is not necessarily a toothpick, it's kind of like I think it's called a cocktail pick. We're going to be using this to outline this border. I got this technique from De Jesus Customs. He does the toothpick thing, you know, toothpick gang and all that. toothpicks are pretty small. I have kind of like a wide hand, and it's kind of hard for me to grip a toothpick and try to draw with it for extended amount of time. And these cocktail picks, they're a little bit wider and a little bit bigger, I should say, so I can actually hold it in my hand a little bit more easily. So we're gonna use this. This is kind of like toothpick gang, but we're just doing a supersized version, I guess. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright guys, we are now finally complete. The shoes are done. I do still have to do a couple of touch-ups just to clean up the shoes a little bit more, but all the paint has been applied and they are finished. As you guys can see, the Jumpmans are complete. I did go ahead and put that purple border around them, and it came out really, really nice. Bump this ISO up a little bit so you guys can get a good look at it. I will let you guys know I did make a mistake. I was telling you guys before to use Do the Right Thing yellow, and I ended up applying it, and shortly after doing it, after applying the paint on the Jumpman and on the eyelids, I noticed it was a little darker than what I wanted, so I went and switched it up to the Maize, which I'm pretty sure this is what I used before last year when I did the 2 pairs for clients. It's just been over a year, so I forgot what color I used, but I'm pretty sure after doing this one, it came out perfect. But now we are good, and the shoes are complete. As I said, I just have to touch up some areas like on the inside of the tongue here. Got a little bit of purple and GAC mixed on there. So I just have to clean it up with a little bit of alcohol and it'll come right off. Everything looks good now. The shoes are complete. Can take off the tape and we get into the B-roll and let you guys see what they look like.